I have a question for you. Do you think
Sure, sure.
Arik Armstead is overrated or underrated?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I feel like right now he might be underrated because he's taken so much criticism last year because he got paid and didn't produce. But basically, I think the sacks he got in 2019 were an aberration. That's not who he is. He's a run defender that the Niners overpaid. That's their business. But he's a good run defender and he's a handful as a pass rusher. You could almost argue he's underrated right now. What do you think?
I don't think he's underrated. I think he's overrated. Okay, the man had in 3 years he had 16 sacks. When did 10 of those sacks come with Nick Bosa? And you're
That's
paying
true.
him $80 million. Like
That's true.
you pay $80 million to a guy like Aaron Donald or like a guy like T.J. Watt, who single-handedly make your defensive line a game-changing defensive line. Arik Armstead doesn't make your defensive line a game-changing defensive line.
He's definitely overpaid. I'm with you on that one. Like
He's
what?
overpaid,
Yeah,
and he's
way overpaid. Yeah.
and like for his contract, I'm not as a player. He's not a bad player. Before his contract, he's overrated because you pay a man $80 million for a guy who put up 3 sacks this year without Nick Bosa. With Nick Bosa, you put up 10 sacks, and you don't pay a
Yeah.
guy $80 million when they can't produce by themselves and make your defensive line better. You don't pay a guy $80 million. You just don't. That's not something
Yeah.
that I would do as John Lynch. Pay Arik Armstead $80 million when he can't produce at least 5+ sacks or do something like that. You don't pay a guy $80 million when they can't
And the
make your
crazy thing
defensive line
about
single
Armstead
handedly
too is
better.
his contract's backloaded. So there's going to be 3 years where he's just disgustingly overpaid. It's going to hurt. He's not there yet. He's still relatively affordable.
Yeah, but I would only if Bosa comes back healthy next year and you give Bosa an $80 million contract, be my guest, okay? Because if Bosa comes back healthy next year and he puts up 10 sacks, go ahead, pay Bosa $80 million because Bosa
Yeah.
single handedly makes your defensive line next level defensive line. It makes your defensive line way better. Arik Armstead doesn't do that for your defensive line, and when you pay him $80 million, he's definitely overrated. Last year in 2019, I called him underrated because he put up 10 sacks. But even in his rookie year, besides Bosa's rookie year, the year after that, he put up only like 3 sacks, 3 sacks, 5 sacks, and
Yep.
16 sacks in 3 years. That's not that's not even that good. And
Nope.
10 of those sacks came in one season. When you had a guy who Kyle Shanahan compares like who I kind of compare that he's kind of like the Aaron Donald of our D line. He's the
Hmm.
Aaron Donald of our D line, where he makes our D line way better. Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Arik Armstead just doesn't do that. So Arik Armstead's definitely overrated. And I have one more thing to say
Yeah.
is that like how Michael Miller said that like if you cut Jimmy, you can get all these players, right? I don't get
Hmm.
why fans are tripping if you cut Jimmy Garoppolo because you don't pay $20 million to a backup quarterback. Number
Thank you.
one, you
Thank
just
you.
don't, and you could
No.
trade Stephon. You could trade for Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson. And number two, Niners fans are forgetting we have Josh Rosen, and Niners fans are like, "Oh, Josh Rosen sucks. Josh Rosen sucks." Look at the teams he's played for:
Thank you.
Arizona and Miami. Both
Thank
of
you.
those teams before they were good had garbage offensive line, no
Thank you.
receivers. They had nothing. They had absolutely nothing. With the Niners, he has a good offensive line. The only problem with the offensive line is if McGlinchey is not as good as pass blocking, but he has a good offensive line. He has a defense, and he's a former
That's
first
right.
round pick. Why are
That's
people
right.
hating? Oh, don't we need Jimmy Garoppolo? We need Jimmy Garoppolo. Josh Rosen sucks. He can't do nothing. No, Josh Rosen isn't a bad quarterback. It's
Nope.
just that you haven't given him the fair chance. Like if you put Josh Rosen in the same situation as the Bills, where Josh Allen is right now, do you think Josh Rosen could at least put up similar numbers and do the same stuff as Josh Allen? Yeah, I'm not saying he's gonna have the same exact numbers as Josh Allen and do something incredible, but Josh Rosen hasn't been put in good situations, and both of those
Yeah.
teams that he's
He could
been
have some
played for.
success if he's in better situations. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
but he's gonna have some success if he plays in a better situation like the Niners.
Yep.
Look at Baker Mayfield. Like Baker Mayfield's team wasn't that good,
That's true.
and then he got Kevin Stefanski, and this year he
True.
balled out and he made it to the divisional round. So why don't
That's
you give
true.
the same chance to Josh Rosen? I don't get it. Like you guys are hating on Josh Rosen, and the Niners fans are like, no, Josh Rosen, we need Jimmy Garoppolo. No, because you have to give a chance to Josh Rosen, and with cutting Jimmy Garoppolo, you get a lot of cap space, and you could sign guys like Justin Houston. You could trade for guys like Stephon Gilmore and sign them to contracts. You can do those things if you get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. And if Trey Lance needs more time, give a chance to Josh Rosen, who's a former first round pick who hasn't been
Yep.
given a fair opportunity like the other guys in his draft class, like Josh Allen and those guys and Baker Mayfield, those and Lamar Jackson. Those guys have been given fair chances because they've been to actually pretty good teams and their team is building around them and helping them. Josh Rosen got first year he played bad. He got traded by the Cardinals, And his second year of the Dolphins, he got replaced by Ryan Fitzpatrick because his offensive line was horrible, and you can't do nothing with a bad offensive line. You just can't.
True.
You know, the only the only quarterback who can do something with a bad offensive line is Russell Wilson. That's just one guy in the league who can do something with a horrible offensive line.
That's true.
Give Josh Rosen a chance. Don't hate it until you try it.
I really think that Trey Lance and Josh Rosen is one of the better 1-2 punches you could have at quarterback. They're young, they're cheap, they're talented. I mean, that's good right there. You don't need Jimmy anymore. They don't need him. I mean, great call.
Thank you.
Go outside. See ya.